Guys, welcome back to the Physique Factory podcast. And today we're going to talk about pointless exercises and stupid shit we see in the gym.
Yeah, or on Instagram in particular as well. That's kind of been the subject of this week,
Well,
hasn't
yeah,
it?
I mean, when you sent me over that link to that, should we even name it now? I'm not going to say anything new it is just because of the blowback. It'd be even better if we did, though, because
Yeah,
we
let's not.
probably get a bit more views on this podcast. So, yeah, just tag them in it.
Yeah, I don't think it's the best way to make friends, is it?
Who wants to make friends? we got enough friends.
No, I think the thing is to give you guys a bit of context, a client of mine sent over a video of someone talking through a certain exercise and basically just explaining the way they do it. And this person's would you call, I don't know if you'd say respected within the fitness industry. Someone that people would, people would look to for advice and seek out solid advice. But I suppose this particular one we just definitely didn't agree with. I'm being very professional about this.
Yeah, being
this
professional
particular one.
So let's actually talk about what it was. So what we saw was that he made two very, very bold absolute points. Was the first one where he was saying, "Oh, don't lock your low back in when you're doing dumbbell laterals. I mean, you low back your reps, they got to work to some degree to hold you in that position." And he was saying it's okay to swing up and extend your hips. If that's happening, then it's going to change the alignment of the exercise, probably get a little bit of front doubt when we're a bit more upright. So that's that gone out the window. And then secondly, we've got the internal rotation of the upper arm and the abduction, which can cause a bit of like a pinchiness. I just say a bit pinching, at the shoulder. It's probably not the best position to be in. So it was saying to do that, do the, what was it, the watering can sort of cue.
Yeah, I don't think he actually used that, but it's like the same kind of thing, like pouring out a cup, glasses of water or whatever. Which I'm going to come out and say, I've actually said things like that in the past, and before I knew, not that it's wrong, because it's not necessarily wrong for everyone, but chances are, and this is going to be difficult to explain because obviously we're on a podcast, but chances are it's like your greater tubercle on your humerus is going to be sticking out quite a bit. And it's quite a how do you explain it? It's just like
it's
a
big
big
bony landmark, that a shitload of muscles attached to, and then you've got two bones that go across your shoulder. So you've got your acromion and your coracoid, and then there's a ligament between that, and then there's a bunch of stuff that's between those ligaments and your actual greater tubercle. If you abduct, internally rotate, it's going to squish a bunch of things in there, potentially lead to some impingement. Potentially.
Yeah, because everyone's structure is different. So the size of the top of your humerus, we'll say, just try and keep this in more simple terms. The size of that, and then the size of the bones on the shoulders that we're talking about as well. Again, I'm just trying to keep it simple. The shape and size of them could be different from person to person. They're all relatively going to be similar, but like when you look at something like if you do want to look further into this, type into Google Paul Grilly yoga studies, I think it's called, and look at the bone photos on that. He's got comparisons from different kind of cadavers, comparing the same bones but on different people, and you can see how different they can be person to person. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is it's not necessarily bad advice to some people, but for probably the majority of people it probably will be, because what he was suggesting would put the joints in a position that would impinge, things like the supraspinatus tendon, things like the long head of the biceps, things like that are going to be in there, which in itself, impingement isn't an issue, because we probably go through some sort of impingement every single day. It just sounds bad, doesn't it?
But also it depends how the throwing bit as well, like you said. There will be an issue if you are throwing it into that position. 100% there's going to be an issue at some point if you're throwing your arm in that position where there's like rapid deceleration into that end range, then there's going to be something going on there.
It's just abrupt, really, isn't it? It's like abrupt force, because obviously when something's moving at speed, it's going to require more force to stop that something. So yeah, it's the abruptness of that, the combination of that internal rotation, which might not be a great thing anyway, with the abruptness of the force, swinging about using momentum, that potentially is not going to be a great thing for many people. It's not something I would want to suggest to a client to do. So when this guy sent it over to me, I was like, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, like when you say for some people it might be all right, but who the fuck knows? Because we'd rather not risk it and do something safer than say, oh yeah, do this, because we don't know structure. We're not an X-ray fucking machine, are we? So err on the side of caution with it.
How do you know with something like that? You
It's
don't
always
really,
a
do you?
safer
There's
bet.
not
Always,
really any way.
literally go back to structure and think what your structure could be like if it was in this position or anything like that. So just think what could cause an issue and stay away from it. And is it worth doing that exercise? Is a risk reward thing? You just have a look at it like that. And it's definitely not. There's much better exercises in terms of profiles as well. If we're going to do like a cable lateral raise or a lateral raise on a machine or something like that. So it's just too much risk.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a dumbbell lateral raise. I would
Done
say
properly,
done correctly. But yeah, it was just a bit of a how would you say, it's probably a bit of an irresponsible way to tell people to do it. But like, we all make mistakes, and don't get me wrong, like, as I say, I've said that in the past, and I've kind of learned from it. And no doubt I will say things today that in the future I will say, you know what, I was wrong on that. And like, there's nothing wrong with being wrong. It's just, I suppose, as fitness professionals, as like, people within the industry, we do have some sort of responsibility to not fuck people up and not give people advice that's going to fuck up their joints and things like that. So you want to try and keep on top of this stuff. If you're like a coach or a PT or someone listening to this, you want to try and keep on top of that. And like, for us, what's been big, and we credit him all the time, he's been in the podcast, is like Michael Goulden from Integra, and like, all the RTS stuff, a lot of that stuff has given us the tools to look at something and think about what's going on inside, rather than just go, this is an exercise, these are the rules. And that's kind of the problem. Like the video that I got sent over, this guy had just been following the rules of exercise, and unfortunately the rules don't work for everyone.
Exactly. I mean, it's even like calling out things like, obviously I'm doing another course as well at the moment, so taking away what we've learned from Michael and Tom at RTS and applying that when we're learning other information from other different sources. And I'm thinking, that doesn't sound quite right. So challenge it, look into it a little bit more, and think, and have my own thought on it.
Yeah, have your own thoughts on it, definitely. So the take home from all of that is, like, when you see someone doing something on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook and they're giving you their way of doing it, bear in mind that's their way of doing it. That's the way they've been doing it. And they might get away with doing it like that, but you might find for you it's not potentially the best option. So again, it's like, challenging that thinking. A little bit off subject here, James, but it's quite an interesting one nonetheless. How much have you spent on courses, like money-wise? I counted it up like recently, but I've spent more since, put it that way. But I think I'm well over 10k in courses, and that's like just over 2 years of actually doing this as a profession.
Let me think. So we've had RTS Foundations, which was 900. I've had RTS, which was 1800.
Your message is listening to this. She's like, I could have had an engagement ring at that price.
Then we've had the PT course that was like roughly around $2,000 worth it, which is a load. You need it for the industry. It's like an entry level thing, but it's absolutely bullshit. But you do need it. So
I forgot that was even a thing, though. To be fair, I never included that in the pricing.
That's another lot of money. And then the RTS videos, which were about, what I spent on that, 2.5, 2.5, yeah, about 2.5. Yeah, that's all. I've got all the videos.
Shut up! Is that what's cost you for all?
Let's say two. So it's around about that. So I've spent.
How many more videos is there? Because there's like, if anyone's like done RTS, they'll know like there's a lot of prerequisite videos you've got to watch through. And I've bought all them and I'm watching through all them. But there must be a hell of a lot more, James.
There's about $2,000 worth of videos on there. And then for pre-scripts, which I'm doing at the moment, 1,600. It's around about 16. Integra Lab, the anatomy lab, 300.
Yeah, I've done the anatomy lab twice. You've done. We're doing the Integra lab. It's an ongoing thing. So that's 12-month thing.
That's it.
Yeah. This is scary for you, James.
Yeah, it keeps going on and on.
Not to mention travel.
That's it.
As well, like doing and stuff. We've done the PT project one this year as well.
How much was that?
Was it 300?
Yeah, about 300. I didn't even count that. I didn't learn anything from it.
Sorry, Paul. What he means by that is like it wasn't a badly run course by any means. It was just very much an intro to the basics, and it was really good for us to recap that.
Fucking licking their ass.
No, it was well run though. Like I think, like if anyone wanted to get into biomechanics, I'd probably say that would be the place to start because they put it across very well,
Yeah,
like
they
very
are
simply,
they are
didn't
good
they?
teachers. To be fair, they are very good teachers. I'm trying to think what else. What else have we done? I've done like a low back pain course. That was like 900. Yeah, it was shit.
Oh, really? Who was that with?
Fucking hell, focus training, which was like one of the, like Active IQ or something like that. So I did that. There was another then I did GP referral, which was another 900. So that's 1800. So they're probably looking at what I've spent on courses: 2k, 2k, so 4-5, 6-3, and then 7-1, 8-1. 9, 10, 10-2, 10-5, 11-1, 12-1, 12,100.
Yeah, that's added up.
That's pretty much everything at the moment. So 12,100 all added up on courses.
And then you've got shit like this, textbooks that are 50
It's fine. I robbed half of these from uni, so... Oh, shit, uni. I forgot about that. What's that?
Yeah, you
Jesus Christ, so that's 27 grand on top of it all.
Oh, yeah, of course, you guys pay for uni there. We don't pay for uni in Scotland. It's free.
Oh, really? No, I'm never. To be fair, I'm never going to end up paying it back because I'll just fiddle with everything. Put that out there. If you want to save money, fiddle with everything. It's fine.
The tax man is listening to the Physique Factory podcast.
You'll never catch me.
But I mean, even looking up there, some of the books I've got, I've probably spent, at least a few £100 on books, which is crazy, really, when you think about it. But yeah, so that's us proving that we've invested in our education. But yeah, so between us, and when did you start doing like these courses that you've counted up?
When I started PT, it was like when I was 18. So like, bloody hell, 10 years ago now. That's crazy.
Yeah, you've been in the industry a long time, to be fair. I've just dipped my toes in. I've only been doing this just over 2 years, to be fair. But like I've been obviously very much involved in training bodybuilding. For probably best part of 7 years now with bodybuilding. I started training like 10 years ago, which was interesting. But I started training in a little school gym where there was like just a few machines. I can't even really remember. I remember actually having this app where I had this ab workout that I'd done every single day because I was going on holiday to Malia, and I was like, well, I need to get some abs. So
did it work?
There we have it. No, it's not worked yet. Still trying it every single day. 10 years of doing that day in, day out. My abs just don't get any better. But yeah, I mean, we went off subject a little bit there, but like, you could spend all that money on courses. It doesn't necessarily mean you know what you're talking about.
You need to be able to understand that information and apply it. If not, then there's no point. You can just sit there all day and just all that information can go over the top of your head. But if you're not taking it in and thinking, right, how does that apply to this client? How does it apply to that client? And then when you start seeing this stuff in front of you, think, right, what does it mean?
Yeah, definitely. And then I suppose going back to what we were talking about earlier, it's like a lot of these people that you see on Instagram, like posting stuff. How qualified are they? Like, how much do they actually know? How much time have they actually spent studying and researching, and how much time have they actually spent in the gym a lot of the time as well? Like, gym experience definitely is something to go by. I think, like, you can't beat that being in the trenches, actually working.
You need to work. You can't just go straight online. I don't understand how you can go from like doing your PT qualification, no experience with like one-to-one clients, straight online, and you have no idea what programming. Literally straight away, you think about how can you think about programming without actually seeing a person or working with real people.
Yeah.
And then from that information that you get on the gym floor, obviously it's still like really, really hard to like program online for someone. And the best what we can do is get things like video assessments, stuff like that, and that's only from like one plane as well. When we're like working with an online client, we can only see that from like one like position of the camera.
You can ask them for another video, to be fair, from another angle.
You're asking someone to set up a camera who has no idea how to set up a camera in the gym, unless they're like an Instagram influencer.
I started sending them a link to Amazon to a tripod. I'm like, fuck what everyone else thinks. I
Yeah,
want to see what your form
yeah.
looks like.
That's it. But again, it's hard to see from so many different positions because when you're in the gym, you can go around and see right that this and the other. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to think about online,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, like when I'm in the gym with clients, sometimes I'll be like walking around them like a vulture or something,
Yeah,
just like going circles around them. But like with that, like so going back to again the video I was talking about, the person in question was like person that was definitely experienced in the gym through training themselves. I'm not sure if they're a coach or anything like that, but like what a lot of like maybe like bodybuilders, fitness influencers and things like that, they've developed a system to train that works for them. And if they've not worked with other people with other considerations and not understood how to work with them, then following their advice isn't going to get you their physique. You know, you can't just copy what Cristiano Ronaldo does every day and become
mm,
Cristiano Ronaldo. It just doesn't work like that. Otherwise, I would have done it because he's getting paid a shitload of money to play football, and I would take that money to play football. So, um, it's something to keep in mind that like, does this person know how to apply the training principles to every Tom, Dick, and Harry? You know, because everyone's obviously different, or has he just developed a really good system for himself? And again, it's going back to that, like what you said earlier, James, just questioning absolutely everything, trying stuff and seeing how it works for you, seeing what the results are. The problem with some of the joint stuff, though, like, you know, if you were like doing something that's potentially damaging your joints, is you might not actually
exactly. And then
know
you
for
get
a
the
long
wear and
time.
tear, you get
That's the only problem with
arthritis, osteophytes, all that sort of stuff, and then you're going to find out thinking, "Ouch! Why does my shoulder hurt?" Well, you've been doing upright rows for a good 10 years, throwing it in that position. Probably that.
Yeah, upright rows, that's always a good one. If you want to fuck your shoulders up, that's a
Yeah.
particular
Well,
good one. That internally rotated position, launching something up,
like you said, it's
always
not
good.
not like particular straight away, but over time you can get that wear and tear, and then it's like a landmine. It's going to go, but you don't know when.
Yeah, definitely. So, following on from that, what's the worst thing you've seen on Instagram in terms of like someone putting out some sort of advice?
It's too much, so much to fucking choose from, isn't
Is there nothing that stands out in your
there?
mind?
I'm really trying to think. Oh! I got sent one the other day by one of my clients, Brandon. Yeah, it was absolutely insane. He had no idea, this guy. So there's two lads on the hack squat talking about it, saying, "Oh yeah, we reverse band this just because it takes the pressure off our knees." Not like, "Oh yeah, it's going to match our strength profile with a resistance profile," anything like that. It was yeah, it just takes the pressure off our knees at the bottom. And if you see whatever his name was, it was like his knees cave in at the bottom. So we're going to get a ball and put it between his legs when he's squatting. And I'm like, what the fuck? So he had this fucking ball, like poster ball thing between his knees when he's squatting to stop his knees going in. And I was like, just tell him to press laterally at the bottom of his feet, so he's not collapsing on his arches. And I just see his feet like about to roll in, and I was like, just press there. And they were saying about, oh, go wide, this, that, and the other because of a certain position with his stance and or whatever. But he did got it totally fucking wrong, and I was like, what are they doing? And they were just trying to tell people what to do, and I was like,
A,
don't put a ball between your knees when you're in the hack squat.
a lot of the stuff comes from like again, it's like I suppose bodybuilding. Like I always think of like some of the Tom Platz videos, like some of the stuff Tom Platz does in videos, like how he got away with some of the shit he done to his knees. I do not know, but like not everyone would get away with that. Like again, like we're talking about individual joint tolerances here, and his must have been pretty fucking high. But some of the shit he done to his
Well,
knees
have you
were
seen the
pretty fucking
that video
brutal.
going around
But
at the moment? Well, I sent you dinner. The like the loaded sissy squat thing where it's
yeah, I don't even know what that was, that machine. I don't know whether she was using another machine to try
no,
and
no,
turn it
that's
into
what it
some
was.
sort
It's
of
an actual
squat thing. I
machine. It's
don't know
from
what it
China. I've
was.
seen them advertised on Facebook. There's not a brand on it. It's just some random Chinese shit. And oh fucking hell, it's bad. That's a lot of shear at your knee, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like a quad tendon is
Yeah,
actually
that's it.
like
You know,
popped
literally the
really,
quad
doesn't
tendon
it?
just is gone. It's like
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah, it does not look nice. And I think a lot of people have seen that one with the sissy squat where the guy
Quad
like leans
tendon
right back and
gone
then both
again.
the knees just like
Oh,
pop as well. Yeah,
it's fucking nasty, that
absolutely
isn't it?
brutal. But yeah, yeah. But going back to the Tom Platz stuff, like I remember it wasn't him, but I seen someone else in the gym doing. like a leg press with their feet really close together. And like I'd never spoke to the person about it, but I'd heard, all right, okay, that targets more quads. And in my head, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. It's going to target more quads. So I'd done it, and I'd done it for weeks. And I kept putting more and more weight on. I was just getting this pain right down the side of my legs, like this sharp pain. It wasn't like recovering properly. And if like I never realized at the time, but like my arse was lifting off the seat, and I would have been rounding through my lower back and things like that. And yeah, it's just something like I seen someone else doing in the gym. I was like, oh, I'll give that a try. But it took me a long time to realize that that was never going to work for me, and it wasn't targeting my quads anymore either. It was for me, it was putting me into a position where I had limited hip flexion, which meant my depth was either going to be limited going into the leg press, or I was
Yeah.
going to get that lower back round, the sort of thing, like bums kind of lifting up off the seat. But at the time, I didn't realize, and I was just like, why the fuck? Like, why's that guy been doing that if this hurts so badly? Like, or is it meant to hurt like this? But it wasn't until I realized about, like, hip flexion and things like that, different joint ranges and things like that, and then learned a bit about biomechanics, I realized that that was 100% not necessary to do. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that you see. I've talked a lot about like what you see on Instagram, but you see it in the gym, don't you? You see people doing things in the gym, and when you're new to all this, it can be easy just to copy what someone else is doing, but
It's
doesn't
like
necessarily make it
dumbbell
right.
flies. They make me cringe a lot. The way people do them, though, where they're literally sort of rapid deceleration, that abruptness at the bottom. It's like, oh, every time I see it, it makes me cringe.
See people
Oh, I
do
know,
them with
yeah.
a
I was
lot
like
of
trying to
weight
get
as
that
well.
big stretch, and it was like, oh, that's not good. But like, chances are it's not really your pec stretching. That it's your anterior joint capsule.
Yeah, and the thing is, like again, there's no like exercise. Well, I was going to say there's no good or bad exercise. I mean, there's things like what you call sumo squat.
It is,
That's
you know,
bad
yeah.
exercise,
It's like what's it bad for though?
but
There's,
not
I'd say
sumo squat,
there's
sorry,
bad
sumo deadlift.
exercises though for certain goals and for certain individuals. So you
Ah,
can't just say this in general as a like absolute statement. You can't say that an exercise is bad completely. To a certain degree though, like that machine is bad. The one that the quad tendon
that
popper.
yeah,
No matter how
yeah.
you use
Okay,
that,
that
there's
is that.
not a safe way of setting up on that machine. She didn't look like she had shitloads of weight on it either. I mean, because it was on like a it
Shannon
was on like a
was
like 56 rep when she was doing it. So and she weren't launching it or anything either. It just went pop and like oh yeah, it
no,
was nasty.
but going back to the dumbbell fly, like that's not a bad exercise by any means. It could definitely be used as part of a program. Just bad execution of a good not so much a good exercise, but bad
Yeah,
execution of an exercise. I don't use them a
there's
hell of a
too
lot
much.
myself because I just
There's too
don't
much
really see the
potential that
point
could
when.
go wrong, and the risk outweighs the benefit.
Yeah, would you say there's a lot more risk in terms of that compared to a cable
It's
fly
the
though?
same sort of. It's how you do them. Depends how you do them.
Depends how you do them, but like from a profile point of view, I personally don't do a lot of dumbbell flies just because like you're only targeting the lengthened range, you're not really getting much in the shortened range. So I'd rather just do a
Yeah,
normal like cable fly where I am actually getting the full range challenge throughout it. I'll get more bang for my buck in exercise. So yeah, but like I could definitely like a dumbbell fly could definitely be included in the program. There's no reason not to. We don't hate
it's just
certain
at the start, and then
exercises.
I'd say, just do more pressing. I'd say put another press. You get more out of it.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
you
like either
definitely will,
or
to be
when
fair.
you're doing a
And they're
cable
funner.
fly, put the cuffs a little bit closer to your elbow joint, and then closer the cuff is to your elbow, or closer the cuff is to your shoulder, the less forces that are going through the joint, and then there you go. It's not like you could put like dumbbells on your elbow either. So
So
it's better. I'd say advise doing cable fly with
there's
cuffs near close to your elbow.
there's a point though, right? So when I do a cable fly, I do use a cuff because my left shoulder gets a bit gammy, and if I do it like even my pec deck, sometimes I can get this like it's not even like pain, but this like feeling in my left shoulder that then ruins the whole session. Like, my left shoulder, like when I'm pressing or doing anything else, my left shoulder just doesn't really work that well, and it'll fatigue first, and it'll ruin the rest of the session. So I do a seated cable fly with the cuff attached onto like just at my elbow there, and that
You can probably
eliminates
load
it.
that
I
up a
get
lot
no
more as
issues
well,
with that.
can't you?
But yeah, but it's all relevant. I suppose like the tension that the muscles experience in if you had less load but with a handle, I suppose it would still be much the same essentially, as long as you're working at the same intensity. But what was I going to say? Like, just like it's another one of those things. Just because I do a cuff cable fly, like I've got my reason for doing it, doesn't mean that you need to copy the way that I'm doing it. And like, not to blow my own trumpet, but I've got quite a big chest. It doesn't necessarily mean, oh right, that's a way to get a big chest. It's just that's a better option for me with my considerations
Yeah, I mean,
with
if
what I've
someone
got
comes to me,
available.
they've got the shoulder issue straight away, I'm definitely not getting doing a cable fly, as in like with the handles or the D handles. If there was got to do like some sort of fly variation, just use the cuffs around the elbow or over the elbow, so it's closer to the shoulder.
So I see something. See as I do a like chest fly, right? I'll start with my hands in the same position and look at the difference between where they
Yeah, how
end
much
up.
internal rotation you have on your left side.
Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised you got the
Yeah,
side
yeah,
right
that's
because
it.
it
Yeah,
flipped around in the video. You done well there. But yeah, like there's a lot more internal rotation on my left than my right, so you can see how a fixed handle might actually upset
that's
my right shoulder because it wants to be more internally rotated, but the handle's going to get it to externally rotate a bit more anyway. So yeah, certainly again, it's like who is the person doing the exercise? What have they got? All the RTS stuff. That's so appropriate for everything, and like again, not to just like spend this whole podcast like blowing smoke up RTS's ass, but like the 5 questions and the exercise continuum are so useful when you're working with a client that you can just go back and then just use that stuff to think and like get the
it.
right
Pick it
solution
out,
for your client essentially, without going too much away. That's
work
Tom will
through it.
sue. Yeah. So another interesting thing I wanted to discuss with you actually is I was talking to someone in the gym today about deadlifts and like they said to me it's the best lat exercise. What's your opinion?
Well, so your lats are definitely working in a deadlift, but I wouldn't call it the best lat exercise just because you're not getting them lengthened, you're not getting them short. Well, you are to a certain degree, but it
Yeah,
drops off.
they are working.
There's no way.
They are working isometrically though. To be fair, they're like there's got to be a lot of tension getting experienced in your lats when you're doing a deadlift for sure. Like I certainly know mines are working. But like it's like that whole thing again and again. We're going to quote RTS here, so Tom, do not sue us. We have given you your we've given you your credit. But like you've got the resistance fighters, you've got the joint managers and the plane maintainers, don't you? Like everyone's on the team. All these muscles are on the team. It's just some guys who've got the ball, and that's again a Tom Purvis quote that I'm stealing for this. But it is um, really a good way to explain it. It's like it doesn't have to be just a certain thing exercise, but in terms of like lat development, like you will get people who deadlift a lot and have really good backs, but I'm going to say most of the muscle you gain from a deadlift is probably going to be erectors, glutes, maybe even upper back too, because you've got to think that upper back's working hard. Although again, isometrically, it's a little bit further away from the line of force, so it's working pretty hard too. But in terms of like training lats, like I wouldn't ever not do a pull down in exchange for like doing deadlifts. I would have them both as part of the program, to be fair, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. But I do rate deadlifts for like your posterior chain development, like kind of from head to toe. Like I mean, you see it in my physique. I've got quite like thick erectors too. I'm really bigging myself up today. Big chest, bigger thick erectors, and then that'll obviously accentuate the lats that you have on top of it. But yeah, I mean, deadlift's certainly a good exercise with a lot of muscles working, but they're not all resistance fighters by any means. They've all got their jobs. Where would you say
In that
lats
job,
fall in
it's
that?
just it's holding that
I
position.
don't know if
Like
you could call them.
you are you are extending the arm, aren't you? As you're coming in, so you're going from like a flex position with your shoulder. But where's the line of Where's the line of force? Where's that
Slightly.
falling through? And it's not. It's going straight down. The line of force is going straight down. If it was that way, say if something was pulling us that way and we want to pull in, then we're getting a fucking shitload of lats. But because that barbell is going down, we're not going to be getting a shitload of. Our lats aren't required to work as much as it would be doing if the direction of force was pulling directly that way. Say if the bar was, say we're bent over and then something's pulling on us, or there's a cable pulling up that way, then that would be getting a shitload of lats. but because that barbell wants to go straight down, then it just comes down to direction resistance where that bar's going.
If something's pulling you into shoulder flexion and you're resisting it with your lats, well, that's like directly making them resistance fighters. But in this case, I suppose they're joint managers, aren't they? Because they're helping with that brace of the torso, and they're helping manage those joints of the vertebrae.
You just think what's extending is what's getting out of position.
Yeah, it's not direct.
To a degree, they are helping a little bit, but they're not.
Glutes.
They're not that much. The lower portion of the lats, they're probably. In fact, no, so the lower portion, upper portion. I say, yeah, the lower portion of the lats, they're probably like resistance fighters, but because they're so fucking long and span, different portions of the lats are going to be doing different jobs.
I never thought about that, to be honest. I've been thinking about this ever since. Like, again, it's like there's no rights or wrongs. It's just like, again, when you've got the tools to understand this and break it down, you can really think about it for yourself. But like, yeah, I mean, to sum that up without going too deep into it, I would definitely do a fucking pull down as well. That's a simple way to really put that. But yeah, still rate it as an exercise for sure. There is that whole thing as well. Like some people will feel it more in certain areas. Like you've got people, like again, going back to like genetically, chest is a strong point for me. So when I'm pressing, I don't find it hard to feel my chest. I don't find it hard to get tension on my chest. So if you've genetically got good glutes, for example, you probably feel deadlifts all in your ass. And again, that's going to come down to limb lengths and proportions and things like that as well. So yeah, it's an interesting discussion anyway. Certainly something. Yeah, I know, but yeah, there's no right or wrong with that stuff. But
I think we should wrap it up around about there because I'm on another one of these courses that I paid $2,000 for. So.
And I'm having to handle our client weekly call. So that'll be an interesting one. Hopefully we get more questions along these lines. But yeah, so just a quick one today, guys. But yeah, just some stuff that was on our mind. Hopefully you find this kind of ramblings kind of interesting. This is just basically me and James having a conversation. In fact, on Saturday night before we were going out to hit the town, we actually sat watching workout videos and talking about this shit until I said, James, we need to stop being such sad cases, turn this off, and we actually started watching some football. Where obviously Celtic when they beat Man United back in the day. Just reminding James that my team were once better than his. Probably still are, to be honest. I don't know. Like I think Celtic versus Man United. I think
for the same calibre of teams, Celtic versus Rochdale. That'll be fair.
Celtic women's versus Rochdale, we'd still win. Better watch what I'm saying. I've said a few things in this podcast that make me sound a little bit like homophobic, and now apparently I'm against women as well. Sexist, that's the word. We can talk about muscles all day long, but ask us about other shit and we've just not got a clue. But anyway, we'll wrap it up at that one. Just to plug one of our things once again, guys, we do have a free download on both our Instagrams and the link in our bio, the Ultimate Guide to Gaining, so definitely check that out. It's free, so why wouldn't you? So yeah, just head over to our Instagrams. I'm CM_Physique Factory and James is JT_Physique Factory. Yes, I was just